Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Fear the Walking Dead video for today, leading up to Season 4, Episode 5 now. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on Daniel's fate being revealed by the Fear showrunners. And spoiler warning, as per usual, if you were not caught up for Fear the Walking Dead, which is up to Season 4, Episode 4. So I'll put the link in the description, as per usual, for you guys to skybound.com for this one, where they have the article with an interview, referencing an interview with showrunner Andrew Chambliss, who talks about Daniel and kind of reveals his fate for us so we can kind of find out, because, of course, going into Season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, he is not with the group, so he has not traveled to Texas with the rest of our Fear the Walking Dead group. We still don't know how they got there, so even though they're kind of showing us some things in Season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, we're getting a lot of flashback sequences with the stadium. You're having Morgan combining and crossing over with the Fear group. There's still a lot of time in there that we're just not sure 100%, what happened, during that. From the Season 3 finale, where they were in, like Mexico there, or near the border, to being in Texas now in a totally different, area, totally different location. We don't know how they got there. We don't know how they got separated. We don't know if Proctor John had taken Alicia with him there, and then Madison had to get the others together, and they somehow, went there. We don't know if they just kind of all got together after Season 3's finale and just kind of left on their own, leaving Daniel kind of behind in the same type of area near the collapsed dam. There's a lot of questions about those earlier characters in Fear. I hope eventually, at some point, they'll be answered in the series. I don't feel that confident that they'll ever be entirely shown, like they'll ever film it through, because of course, now you've had Nick, who's leaving the show, so Frank Delane will be in some of these episodes, but in terms of those flashback sequences, you would kind of need him to be in the series in later seasons if you wanted to show some of those parts. So if you wanted to show us how the group traveled there, how they got there, basically the time in between the Season 3 finale at the dam and them finding the stadium, that window, most likely now, because Frank is leaving the show, the actor who plays Nick, they probably will never fill that in. So we probably will never get a chance to see that, at least not in its entirety. They probably won't do some kind of like flashback episode where they show that travel. It's really hard to do that type of thing in a zombie apocalypse. Even the original Walking Dead series, a lot of times they avoided long distance travel like that. They would skip over it and just show us them getting to the destination. Even though originally Fear the Walking Dead did surprisingly show us on the Abigail them traveling along the water in that, which was really cool, because that's something we don't always get to see, and we probably won't see, is what I'm saying, from the Season 3 finale to the Season 4 kind of premiere. We probably won't see that pre-stadium, post-Season 3 part of the series. But as such, it leaves some question marks for some of the characters that were in the show earlier. We don't know what happened to Taka and Walker, whether or not he's alive and he's out there somewhere surviving. We don't know about Daniel, right? So until this article here now. So here's the article. Here's what they said. Quote, "He is alive and out there. The details surrounding that are something that we're still keeping under wraps." That's Fear showrunner Andrew Chambliss speaking with TV Line about the matter. So we have confirmation that Daniel is in fact alive in the Walking Dead universe, or I guess we could say Fear, the Walking Dead. Now they're clearly, because you have Morgan crossover, they're very clearly the same universe. They have to be together now, which is one good thing for Fear. It does make it seem more legitimate and makes it seem like it's more, in the same world as the Walking Dead, more than it ever felt like before in the prior seasons when it felt so detached. So he's saying he is definitely alive and he's out there somewhere, and the details surrounding that are something that we're keeping on. So he's not going to tell us where he's at, what's happened to him, how he's survived, if he's with another group or not, and whether or not we're going to see him again. Okay, so the second part to this. For a quick catch-up, the Fear of the Walking Dead's former Salvadoran war soldier turned barber turned escaped artist Daniel Rubén Blades was on the dam when it exploded in Season 3. Although that paints a grim fate for our hero, our other characters miraculously survived, so why not Daniel? After all, he did survive the plantation fire from Season 2. Chambliss recently told Entertainment Weekly, quote, "There is a very good chance that he will appear in the Walking Dead universe. It's a very big world, and we will hint at what may have happened." Okay, so really two takeaways. He's alive, and he's out there somewhere in the zombie apocalypse. They won't tell us what has happened to him, but they have some kind of idea or some kind of plan in place that there's a good chance that he will appear again in the Walking Dead universe somewhere, and it being a very big world. So they're not saying necessarily that he will appear in Fear the Walking Dead. I think that that's more likely than you would see him in The Walking Dead, just because of locations and everything. That's quite a ways to go to traverse and everything, and it's a totally different area. So I think if anything, you'd probably have him reappear in Fear and not go into the original series, but you never know with the crossovers. They could always do more of them to make the two worlds feel more connected. And also the positive side to it as well too is if you have a character go from Fear like Daniel into the original Walking Dead series, in order for people to understand that character's journey, or at least a part of that character's origin, they would have to watch the first 3 seasons of Fear. So that's kind of a cool thing right there, is if you do it the other way, it kind of gives your Fear viewers a little bit extra, because then they know that character's origin, what that character's been through, and they have some understanding of that character's skills, abilities, and personality. So I'd probably go, it sounds to me like we might see him again. We might see Daniel at some point in the future in Fear the Walking Dead, but they're not going to say when, they're not going to say where. Of course, it would be a big reveal for them to kind of do so. I'm happy that they're at least saying that Daniel is alive, so we have that confirmation. We never got that from Morales. We had to just assume he was a savior. Okay, cool. It works, right? So with Daniel, at least they're telling us, because a lot of people were wondering, that he is in fact alive. He is in fact out there. And we might see him again, so it could be a Morales situation. It could pop up out of nowhere for Fear. The only thing about it is that it's kind of tricky when you have distances like that. The Fear group has traveled a long way here, between, and even though Virginia and I'm trying to think here for the original series how far Morales traveled to become a savior and how that whole thing worked. Over the years, if you're traveling around and you run into a group and you end up joining them, I think it might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's not too bad of a stretch. The thing is with Daniel is that he's so distant from them that it's kind of tricky. But then again, in terms of story, it makes sense to have him return in terms of the story. Like, you get that emotional impact, you get that story to kind of find out what happened with him, and he is a great character. So I'd be happy to see him return. I didn't think he would. I kind of felt like, and I did a video on this earlier, that maybe those earlier characters, some of them have to just be left behind. Like Walker. I don't think they'll probably ever bring Walker back. And again, I could be wrong about that because I was wrong about Morales originally, right? So I could be wrong, but I tend to think that characters like Walker probably shouldn't. I'm happy to hear that Daniel is alive. That's good to hear, and that we might see him again. But it really depends too, right? Because we got to see what happens with Fear. We got to see what direction they're going in Fear. Because right now, it feels like Fear is so in flux with what they're doing that it could go a lot of different ways here in how the story is being set up right now. We don't even know if they're going to stay in Texas there, if they're going to go somewhere else. We don't know even who really the lead of the show is going to be. It seems like, okay, probably be Madison, but we don't even know if she's alive. We don't know if they're going to continue with that. So there's just a lot of questions about Fear right now, and it's exciting to discuss. But at least those of you guys who are wondering Daniel's fate there, at least you know now. So leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think about that one. We'll do some more of your guys' questions for today. Dank Bud says, I think Trev hates the show, but doesn't want to piss off the fanboys for Fear. After I, in my review, just gave episode 4 like an average thing. It's not that I hate the show. I do love Fear, especially very excited about what they've done this year. Loved season 3 of Fear. I actually like season 2 quite a bit too, as well as season 1. And when I'm doing my reviews, it's not that I don't want to piss anybody off for Fear. It's just that I've defended it quite a bit here, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here in this video. But basically, I just felt like Madison's decision should have been, or what she's doing should be different than what it appears like she is doing with regards to the vultures. So is what it is, but then again, people do change over time. Sometimes people make one decision and then in the future they decide to change their ways and do something a little bit differently. and give people a chance. So it's what it is, right? But no, I don't hate Fear. Absolutely not. I do love Fear. I always have since the very beginning of the show, and it's just such a big question mark right now, which is kind of exciting as well too. That we really have no clear understanding where they're going with Fear. We have no idea what the future for Fear holds. Who knows? Or even if it does get a season 5, that's not guaranteed either because it hasn't been renewed yet. So we don't even know for sure that way either. G74 says, I agree. I was frustrated with Madison and the entire situation in the episode 4. I kept thinking, what are you doing, Madison? Why aren't you coming up with a plan or strategy and sending all the compounds protection on runs? I don't understand. As for this particular episode, I found it slightly less entertaining versus the first 3 episodes, but I'm still curious as to see what will happen with the Vultures and what happened with Madison. Absolutely. And that's one thing about the season they've done a great job about is that if you want to find out, then you have to watch. So they're not giving you all the answers right away, which can be a bit frustrating. You got to watch to kind of figure out the whole story, right? What's your story? And kind of hear the whole thing, which is cool. Blep Bop says, could whatever happened immediately after the events of the dam be they don't want to fight the Vultures? We still don't know what the story behind how Madison found her kids, except that Nick was really bad off. And that's true, we don't know. And what I'm predicting is we probably will never get to see it. Hopefully they at least tell us, one of the characters tells us what happened there and what that whole journey looked like, because that's what I want to know, really. Jin Cha says, great video, and what other shows on Netflix do you think are worth the time watching? I did love, and this was for Z Nation, the Z Nation series. So I have one of my Z Nation videos here, so I thought I'd throw this one in here. Why not? So I am planning on doing some more kind of Netflix series reviews. There is The Rain, which I want to check out this week, and I might do a review for later this week. And I think going forward in the future, television is changing. So with this being a channel that's heavily dedicated to different TV series, I have to change as well too. I have to kind of switch my style a little bit here, and rather than doing like a weekly review, this kind of thing, a lot of shows are hitting on Netflix, so I'm going to have to be kind of watching those shows and reviewing some premieres for some Netflix series because, there's so many that they're coming out with, and some of them, like Stranger Things, are so incredible. Or Punisher, another one, really good one. They've got so many, man. It's crazy. Netflix has really done incredible. I mean, the network is incredible in what they've been able to do. So I have to check out some more series, and I will do more reviews for Netflix series in the future and recommend some versus others after I check them out for you guys. John Lee says, hey, Trev, imagine how popular Fear would be if they were just a live-action version of the Telltale Walking Dead video games. And that's true that the Walking Dead Telltale video games are very popular. I remember them when they first came out, especially like the first, I think it was season they called it or what have you. Very popular and some nice twists in it, things like that. Some memorable characters. So you might be right that if they would have gone with that type of story, it might have been even more popular than how Fear turned out. Like it might have turned out even better than Fear did. It's strange how the audience reacted to Fear because in season 2 of Fear on the Abigail and everything, I thought it was different, I thought it was cool, and I thought it was something neat to see Mexico and get to see a different environment from the original Walking Dead series. I thought it was a good decision. However, it just didn't, people didn't really stick with it that much, and even though it's now in its 4th season and it's got rejuvenated quite a bit with Morgan and what they're doing this year with it, really surprised to see that it was not, in season 2 especially, it was not as well received as I thought it probably would be, because I just thought there was a lot of really cool stuff in Fear. Maybe it was the characters. So we'll see going forward now that they have Morgan and some new characters, and they've left a lot of those older characters behind, if it's going to be better received. And the last one will be from Vonda Martin, who says, I loved ruthless, badass Madison. I want her back. So many men complained about her, saying she was bitchy, when in reality, she was just acting like a man. I want that badass woman back. And I hope so, too. I hope we get to see badass Madison again and, her have some strategy and tricks up her sleeve and this kind of deal. Because she is quite the strategist, I want to say. And that's interesting to see. Different from Rick, where Rick just wants to, running gun ho all the time. So we'll see what happens here with the Vultures group. But yeah, so far I've been a bit frustrated that she's hasn't taken action. But then again, she could have some kind of plan or strategy here that we just don't know about yet. Have to be patient, right? It's true too. So that'll be it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Salazar returning and him being alive, being confirmed. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to this channel, I would appreciate it if you do. Click the subscribe button at the bottom. Click the bell to turn on the notifications when I release new videos daily. And that's it for this one, guys. We'll see you again soon for another Walking Dead video or Fear video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. See you guys tomorrow.